Dahabo Ahmed Omer has been appointed to the position of Inaugural Executive Director for BlackNorth Initiative. Fully bilingual, she was named one of the 100 most influential people of African descent under age 40, an international award in support of the United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent. Her nonprofit work experience includes Chair of the Board of Directors for the Federation of Black Canadians, co-founder of the Justice for Abdirahman Coalition, and Director of Operations for the Somali Center for Family Services. BIPOC Executive Search invites you to join us in congratulating Dahabo, and also welcomes you to this edition of 5 Questions, where we get to know more about Dahabo as a leader, as well as a person. So, Dahabo, congratulations on being appointed inaugural executive director for BlackNorth Initiative.
Thank you so much, Jason. I'm excited.
We are so delighted and excited for you, and thank you for joining us on this 5 question segment. And the first question that I wanted to ask you is a question around a fun fact. People are going to get to know you in the capacity of executive director, but there's always something nice about learning something about leaders that you just wouldn't know unless they told you. So what's a fun fact about Dahabo that people would be surprised to know?
Um, so I think some people might know this, but I paint and I draw, and all of the artwork that's in my house actually have been done by me. I think you see one right above me.
Wow.
But yes, all of the art that's on every wall in every bedroom and every room in this house have been done by me. And I try to find any time in the day where I can take half an hour to do a piece or to start a piece or to finish something. And I haven't been able to do that the last little while, but trying to hopefully get back into it, because it does give me that opportunity to just sort of disconnect from everything and then also reconnect to everything and just revitalize my person and my spirit. And so I love doing that.
And so important to find ways to revitalize your person and spirit. So thank you for that. And one thing that I often say to people is leaders really inspire others when they are at the helm of an operation. And there are words that many of us live by to find inspiration. There are many sayings that we are drawn to keep us going. So when you think about words that inspire you or sayings that really resonate with you, is there one that stands out that you can share with the people watching?
You know what? There are a few actually, but they're all very much intertwined. But the one that comes to top of mind is lightning makes no sound until it strikes. And I love that because my father, who died a very long time ago, who was a peacemaker back home in Somalia, was someone who he would always say this to me, and I never knew what it meant, and people would be surprised now to think that I was a quiet child, or I was a shy or timid, or very introverted person, but because I'm very much an extrovert now. But he would always say that to me. He'd say, lightning makes no sound until it strikes. And it meant something to me throughout my life, because I understood finally that it means that you have courage. It means that, it's impossible to live in this world cautiously all the time, not, daring to jump, daring to do something different, daring to support, daring to love, daring to be there for one another. And so I think that within my lifetime, personally, professionally, it's been, and spiritually, very much. I understood that I'm someone that takes my time. I'm very, I think I internalize a lot, and I kind of try to, figure out what it is that I want to do. How do I want to support community? How do I want to make this world a better place? And I took that on as a duty, and every time within when I was in school, when I started my career, it's always been in the back of my mind, where my father would say, you're lightning and you will make no sound until you strike. And every time I did, it was incredible to see what I was able to do, because I understood that I had a duty. We talk about this idea of responsibility, and I think it's really important for us to really actualize what that means. In every situation, there is going to be a positive, and there'll be sometimes some negative, some negative elements to everything. But what do we do when we take on that responsibility? What do we do when we recognize, regardless of what's happening, that it's important for us to strike, to take that chance, and to jump and to dare and to be brave, in this society that's so difficult sometimes. And so definitely the idea of lightning make no sound until it strikes really does resonate with me all the time. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So inspiring, Dahabo. You are a real delight and force, and we're so excited for you. And what you just shared is actually a good segue into another question. And it's a big question, but I do think that it's important for us to have big, ambitious, lofty goals if we really want to see change in the world. So let me ask you this question. What change would you like to see in the world?
I would like to see dignity for all. I would like to see everyone's right to live to be fulfilled, and that our human rights are protected and shielded. I think that in this day and age, if you're not outraged and you're not overwhelmed and you're not besieged by all of the injustices that are happening around us and around the world, then you're missing it, right? And I think it's difficult for us right now more than ever, especially in this global conversation around anti-Black racism and police brutality. And what do we do to safeguard the lives of our communities and Black communities specifically? And so, we know that racism and discrimination dwell in every nook and cranny. We know that our children are suffering. We know that our mothers are crying. We know that our fathers are weeping, and our people are disappearing. Every other day we hear of another situation where our community is greatly suffering. And so I would like to see, I think, a world that is going to be more honest. And it may seem a bit strange to say that at first, but I think it's important to have that shift. I believe that for far too long, we may have spent time not necessarily being honest with ourselves and not necessarily being honest with each other. And I believe that honesty is really going to be the journey towards reconciliation. Mm-hmm. And we say that word, and what it means to me is we get to a place of peace and serenity and fulfillment and well-being in our community. And I think that it's a simple concept. I can just say honesty. It's one word, but it yields the greatest return. I think that without honesty, we will not be able to achieve reconciliation for those communities that continue to be marginalized. And I think it would allow us to recognize the disparities that exist. And I think it will provide us a chance to have opportunities to create sustainable and effective change in our community. So yes, it is a simple word, but I think that if we move with that beat in that drum as an army, as a collective, that we will get to moments where it's going to be really uncomfortable, but it is going to be a commonplace once we get there. And I think that the successful outcomes will be more of a present reality. So I truly believe that together we can and we will. And that is what drives me every single day.
Dahabo, you are going to make so much wonderful change in this world. I am a sappy person. I actually am a very...
Don't get me started, Jason.
Yeah. And, throughout the process and speaking with you, as someone obviously who has similar lived experiences as you, I'm just so inspired by all the incredible work that you've done to date and the incredible work that you're going to continue to do with this platform. This question is one that, is a premature question in some senses because you're just going to be starting in the job in a few weeks. But if you can look into the future 5 years from now, What would you want to have achieved? And it doesn't have to be a long list of things, but perhaps there's, two or three things that are top of mind that you're hoping to say is in place 5 years from now.
You know, I'll tell you something first, okay? I think that I'm someone who's and I saw this as something that was not necessarily positive when I was younger, because I thought that I was my worst critic half the time. But I realized that this being subjecting myself to self-cleansing and self-examination, and it's very much an Islamic virtue. It's part of my faith and my spirituality. But I question a lot. I do a lot of soul searching into myself, and I want to be certain. I want to be so certain that I am fulfilling the true meaning of my work, um, that I'm holding fast to my ideals, that I'm changing the world, and that I'm shaping it, and that, whatever my doubts, however the heavy the burden, that I feel that I must accept the task, right, in helping to shape this world and to make it a better place. And so I believe that if we tell ourselves, um, what does success look like in few years from now, I think it's important that we all actualize that duty that we have. And this may appear to be an interesting response. The success for me will be based on the community that we serve and that we are in service of. So for far too long, success has been really narrow, and it's been defined on specific goals of individuals or organizations, and rather than being based on outcomes, rather than being based on those that we serve and what do they think and how are they surviving, how are they thriving. It's we got to get away from this phase of just survivor mode. People need to prosper. And so I think that, I will promise to work really, really hard, and I will promise to listen and to be a responsive ear. I think it's important that what you hear, you translate that into action. I am just going to be a conduit. All of this work, all of the initiatives, all of the priorities and objectives, and the mandate of this organization will really be created by the people, for the people. And so if I do that in 5 years, I think that we will have a, community-based, corporate, advanced and overall success that I think will be defined by us, executed for us and with us. And it's going to enhance the voices that matter the most. So I believe that true success really just requires more than one lens. I am just one person in the sphere of community and corporate, and I think I will be probably the conduit to getting that done. But I will be just that person that drives it home. But it will be, I'll be the gas in the car, but the car will be the community and and the people that need it the most. And so I hope that we can get there. I know that we can get there. I always say this, I think together we can and we will. And I want us to center ourselves in that specifically.
Wow, incredible. Parting words, Dahabo, what would you want to leave us with?
I think that the power of people will create everlasting change, even if it's in the awakening of others. And I've heard Wes Hall say this, with the pledge a few weeks ago. There are over 300 organizations and companies that have said, we will make a change, that have had an awakening moment. And I think that, we've created a massive momentum around this. And I think that the quality, not necessarily the longevity, but the quality of the work that we do will really speak for itself. And I understand that more than ever now that, those that have passed, our ancestors, those that have passed due to unjust, situations or incidents, I think that the dead cannot cry justice. It is really the duty of the living to do that for them. And we are here to do that. And I hope that we can do it collectively. I hope that we can empower, support, provide resources, uplift, empower our communities to thrive and reach a place of well-being all around. And so we've got work to do, and I think that together we can and we will.
Amazing. Dahabo, such a delight to interact with you and to know that I had any part to do in this process is just so humbling for me to be able to walk away with, truly.
I want to say, if I can, um, this process of getting here, it could have gone completely the other way. I have been through, HR processes before that have been difficult, that have been, not necessarily rewarding, and I didn't learn or grow from it. And this process and having you um, by my side, and I know that a lot of our communities feel like this, that if we have someone that has that lens, that has that lived experience, that understands issues on a deep level, on a personal level, it makes this entire um, world and process a little differently. You have been instrumental in allowing me to grow in this process and achieving my potential. There are times that we are going to doubt ourselves, and we're not sure if what we're doing is exactly what we need to be doing and how we should be doing it. But you have been really instrumental in grounding me in success, grounding me in possibilities, grounding me in the future. And I think that the work that BIPOC Executive Search Firm is doing is going to be a change maker in this world and for our communities. We need this type of service because people need the support. They truly do. And so thank you, Jason. I know you say such wonderful things about me, but I hold you close to my heart because you've opened my eyes to a whole different world. And so thank you for being a part of that. And thank you for, being such a great support system throughout this process.
Thank you, Dahabo. I really, really appreciate those words. And I will, along with my colleagues, continue to do this important work because, as I keep saying, people's lives, stand to benefit. Organizations stand to benefit. There's so much untapped talent, and together we will manifest, the world that we have been working towards, and we will continue to work towards it because it's a journey.